good. Very excited to be here from Las Vegas, Nevada, talking baseball. We got a lot of free agent talk. We got a lot of trade talk. Should be very good. We're going to start with the number one free agent, Kyle Tucker. He is clearly the number one guy. Will he double everybody else? Maybe. Can he get 400 million? Maybe. I don't think I'm hearing any 500 million talk, but I have heard some $400 million talk, and that would be quite something. He's the fourth highest paid player in baseball. Look, he's a very talented guy, two-way player, young guy. I could see it. What's interesting now is, as I talk about Tucker, I wrote down the names of 6 teams that I think are possibilities or decent possibilities for Tucker. There are probably many more. I'm sure there'll probably be a dozen or more teams that show some interest, but I didn't write down the Cubs. I just don't believe that he's going back to Chicago. Of course, you never say never in free agency. I don't see how that happens. I think for that owner to pay that kind of money, there had to be a clamoring from the fans to bring him back. And with the injuries he had in the second half, I'm not seeing that. So I think the Cubs are very, very unlikely at this point. We shall see. I'm getting some talk in now. Yes, chat at me, and we will talk now. Buxton to the Dodgers, question mark. Oh, look, the Dodgers are going to want to prove that outfield. I'm not seeing Buxton being traded. As far as we know, Buxton has declined to prove any trades. We heard that at the All-Star game. We shall see. Any Astros news? I do believe they will be looking at a starting pitcher. I'm not sure if that's new news to anybody, but certainly Framber Valdez, I'm sure they'd like to have him back. It does feel like he may be heading elsewhere. We shall see. Again, that's just a feeling. I think that that is the likelihood, and they will be looking at all the other starting pitchers out there, and there are a ton of them. All right. Schwarber to the Cubs, says somebody. Well, I think he's the Phillies' number one priority. We shall see how that goes first, and then we'll start to discuss other teams. Will Skeens get traded? Ben Cherington made clear he's not getting traded. Yankees, Imai, question mark. Yeah, I do think the Yankees like Imai. Tucker, Giants, hey, they're one of my teams. I'm going to get to that. Dodgers in on Diaz. I hear some scuttlebutt. I'm not getting that sense. I've seen Devin Williams. I think the Dodgers are aiming even bigger. Edwin Diaz is maybe the best closer in the game. Will get the award for the top reliever in the National League, I'm quite sure. But I think they're aiming even higher. I think they're saving their bullets for Skubal. Maybe they'll go for Tucker. You never know. Would they bring back Bellinger? I don't know. Orioles, question mark. I think they're going to be active. I don't think there's any question about that. Tucker to the Dodgers, a definite possibility. Boy, we're getting lots of chats in. Well, the GM meetings have begun, so there's a lot of trade talk, a lot of speculation, and people love that. Any Angels moves? I think they've got to get their budget set first. I do think they do have some money to spend, or will have some money to spend. Blue Jays news, I think the Blue Jays are going big. I think they're going to have a big winter, not just because they lost the World Series in a heartbreaking fashion. I think they are an active team. Look, they tried hard for Soto. They tried hard for Ohtani. Didn't get them. They're going to go for the big stuff. Skubal to the Mets, I don't know. That's a possibility. It does feel like the Mets are looking more at number one type pitchers. Certainly Verlander news. Well, we know he's going to come back to somebody. Would it be the Giants? That's a possibility. Alonso, Red Sox, wouldn't rule that one out. We'll see. Certainly, I think Bregman is the best fit. But could they sign them both? Not going to rule it out. Mattingly come back to the Yankees. I've heard the Phillies reached out. They're interested. Obviously, his son's in the front office. If the Phillies are interested, and he does decide he wants to come back, I can't see him rejecting his own son and going even back to the Yankees. I know he's a legendary Yankee and the fans love him and all that, but do you choose the fans or do you choose your own son? I got to go with your own son, right? Duran's going, the Red Sox do have an extra outfielder, so, they could possibly trade an outfielder. I could see that. Murakami, Mariners, maybe. It's possible. They do seem to be focused on Naylor at the moment. One guy they definitely want back. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to afford, at least in their words, Suarez from what we're hearing at third base, but Murakami would be more money. So I don't know how Murakami would fit in with them. All right. Will Jose Ramirez get moved? I can't see that happening. I don't see why the Guardians would do that. What are they going to do? Give up on the season now? Did somebody say that? I don't know. Padres, it looked like he wasn't too happy. Look, I mean, I get it. If you're competing with the Dodgers, it's going to be tough. But Padres have a solid team, need some starting pitching. Giants and Bailey, I've seen that out there where they could trade him. I'm not so sure. Harrison Bader back to the Phillies. Phillies are going to need outfielders, right? They're going to probably trade Castellanos. Maybe they'll trade Marsh. They need outfielders. First order of business for them will be Schwarber. Second order of business will be Real Muto. I'm sure they'll look at Suarez. They're certainly going to look at it, but he's going to get a lot of action. Any of the pitchers. Is Randy Miller's tweet true about? I shouldn't bring up. I don't know what it was. Tell me what it was about Skeens. I don't know if anybody's writing that Skeens is getting traded. I think that was shot down yesterday by the general manager. I mean, I don't see that happening. Tell me what that tweet was, and I'll be able to answer a little bit better. But I don't see Skeens being traded, nor do I see them making a bold move to pay him a big bucks as a free agent at this point. Skeens wants to be on a winner. He wants to win. Is he going to sign up no matter what they offer? And the Pirates aren't big spenders. I'm just not seeing any extension happening. Bregman of the Cubs, question mark. Again, that's another one. I wouldn't rule out anything possible. I could see it. Let me just check on that. All right. Former Pirates teammate said that Skeens has said he wants to play for the Yankees. Okay. A lot of people want to play for the Yankees. He wants to play on a winner. So, would he be disappointed to be traded to the Yankees or the Dodgers or whomever is a big winner? I doubt that he'd be disappointed. That said, I don't know. I haven't consulted with them. The Yankees believe that Skeens has interest in them. Look, we know that his girlfriend, the gymnast, whose name escapes me, from LSU, was looking at housing in on the Upper West Side. In fact, looked at Babe Ruth's old apartment. Is that coincidence? I don't know. They tell me it is. I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked if he had the Yankees in his head. But it's up to the Pirates, and he's not being traded. So that's it. Could be a Yankee news plant, LOL. I don't know about that. Cattell to Mariners, realistic. Back to the Mariners. Cattell's name is out there. I think it's like past years where it's going to be difficult to get the right value for Cattell Marte, who is a superstar. Quant to the Dodgers, a chance. The Dodgers are looking at outfield. I don't see why why are the Guardians selling now? They didn't actually sell these players at the deadline when they didn't look like they were in great shape. We're starting the season. Are they starting off the season as a seller? Is Tetsuya Imai a top target for the Yankees? I believe so. We shall see about that. Tucker to the Phillies. They're one of the teams I've written down. Let's go. Casey, that's the Cubs prospect move for starting pitch. The Cubs need starting pitchers. They have the money. They got to look at all these free agent possibilities, and there are many, as well as the trade possibilities. There are a ton of trade possibilities. Any chance of Carlos Beltran coaching anywhere? I think he's got a big role with the Mets, so I think this is a better role than being a coach somewhere. But maybe we'll see. All right, let's see what else here. Skubal for Glass now. Yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers have the stuff to get it done, whether it be Glass now in there or Sheehan. They've got prospects. Certainly, I think the Dodgers are waiting on it. They'd be very interested, and as would just about every other team, if Skubal is dealt. And we're going to get to the Skubal information later. Dodgers in on Williams at Fairbanks, that I believe. Yeah, they probably want to get relief. There was one thing they did not do great this year, at least at the end of the year. They had some problems with the bullpen. They'd probably like to beef up that outfield, as we discussed. Duran to the Royals. People can hear me. There we go. I'm back. So Tucker sweepstakes. Let me get to that. Teams I have written down are the two World Series teams, the Jays and the Dodgers. I also have the Phillies and the Red Sox, maybe slightly lesser chance, but I do see the World Series teams as teams that will spend big. The Dodgers have money coming off the books. Jays are going to be active and aggressive. Those are my top two teams, potentially for Tucker. Phillies and Red Sox also on my top four list. I think those all make sense, potentially for Tucker, who I said is the top a free agent on the market. Will he get $400 million? Look, in free agency, everybody gets a little more than you expect, so I'm not going to be shocked. I think I guess $375 in the New York Post. We'll see if I'm right, or he gets the $400 or even more. I've seen out there Yankees and Mets, they're big market teams. Obviously, someone's getting around 400 million isn't going to go to a small market team. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier to guess. In terms of the Yankees and the Mets, I think there are better fits. Certainly Bellinger, who can play center field and first base, seems to fit both the Yankees and the Mets better than does Tucker. Tucker has been mostly a right fielder. Could he play center? He's certainly talented enough. Maybe he could. I don't see the Yankees spending 400 million on Tucker or anybody else now. And the Mets have so many openings, and if you can get Bellinger for half the price, bring back Alonso, get the pitching that they need, help the run prevention in a number of ways. I'm just not seeing Tucker in New York. We'll see. But those are my fifth and sixth choices because, frankly, he's going to have to go to a big market team. All right, Yankees need to be the evil empire again. I agree. Start to spend. Let's go. Spend some more because right now the Yankees are making a nice profit. I don't think there's any question about that. The Dodgers do spend more. Are the Dodger revenues now higher than the Yankees? It might be so because Ohtani is such a great deal for them and they're making so much. Do you see Yankees increasing or decreasing? I've seen where Hal would like to keep it at 300, which would be a minor decrease. I think they'll be about the same. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked though. I've seen suggestions. I think Joel Sherman suggested he'd like to decrease it a little bit. But that's my Tucker sweepstakes. I've got Jays, Dodgers top two, then Phillies, then Red Sox, and the Red Sox do have good outfield. So I mean they're less chance than the other three teams. They would need to trade one of their outfielders for sure. Then if they were to sign Tucker. To me, Bregman is the one that makes the most sense for the Red Sox. So they're not that likely. I mean, this is a pretty limited field because this is a very expensive, understandably so player. Schwarber to Seattle, possibly. Do you think he's really going to go to Seattle after his career with a Cup? Not that there's anything wrong with Seattle. I love Seattle. It's one of my favorite cities. I'm just not seeing Schwarber going to that Pitchers Park at this point in his career. He's been a National League player for the most part, a little bit with the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox and the Cubs are more likely if he doesn't stay with the Phillies. Phillies' objective is to sign Schwarber and to sign Real Muto and then get working, do maybe some trades, do some things like that. I could see them potentially taking offers on either Bohm or Marsh. Could see either one of them potentially. We shall see. But I've got them on my list because they do need outfield. They do have money. They do want to win. They have great ownership. They have Dave Dombrowski, great general manager, actually baseball president there. So I could see Phillies, but Jays and Dodgers are my top two picks. All right. All right, Skeens trade. Everybody's hyped up on the Skeens trade. Hey, Ben Cherington said he's not going anywhere. Ben Cherington is a very honest fellow. Buxton or Joe Ryan updates. Well, Buxton's going to have to approve a trade to go. Joe Ryan does not. Joe Ryan is one of the top guys on that list of trade potential guys for the starting pitching market. And 2 years to go. I think they could get a haul for him. I think if Boston had more time, maybe they would have done something at the deadline. I certainly think I could see that either Lopez from the Twins or Ryan could get traded. I also could see Gore. I could see Gray. It did feel like there's some serious discussions. And I don't want to say serious because people think there are some discussions going on in terms of Gray. People like him. He's making $25 million. I know St. Louis can afford it, but they're looking a little bit more long-term right now. All right, let's get to Murakami. Number two, he's coming over, and again, Scott Boras revealed that his two Japanese free agents, Imai and Akamoto, will be posted on November 19th. Murakami coming over, he is a big hitter, former Triple Crown winner, huge power numbers, 56 home runs in a year. I mean, the team wants power. This is the guy. I mean, he is huge in terms of power. A little bit like Alonso, he's probably a first baseman or a DH, probably not a third baseman at the major league level. He did play third in Japan, probably could do that in a pinch, but I think we're looking at first base or DH. But big time power. Again, we're going to beat a lot of the same teams. As the Red Sox, I got to include the Dodgers. They obviously are doing well with Japanese players. They're able to get them. I'm going to throw the Orioles in there. I think the Orioles are going to do some pretty big stuff. So Murakami could be a potential fit for the Orioles. And I'll say the Mariners, although I think it's probably pricey for the Mariners. And I do think they are kind of concentrating on Naylor right now. Could the Mets be a possibility? I think the Mets like Alonso. I do think that they have a pretty good chance to bring Alonso back. I think they have a good feeling about that this time, better feeling this time than last year. So, if it doesn't work out, Murakami, Akamoto, they could all be potentials to play first base. All right, could the Cubs be in the Murakami sweepstakes? Maybe. I think they like Shaw. I think Shaw's going to be a starting player for them. Could they move Shaw to second base? I don't. It seems like a long shot. Horner had such a terrific year. Would they trade Horner? I'm not sure about that. That seems like, to me, that doesn't seem that likely. But I'll throw it out there. I think they like Shaw. So would they sign Murakami or Bregman? Not ruling it out, but I don't think it's quite as likely. Shaw's defense was very impressive last year, and they were certainly surprised by how good it was. Murakami, Yankee. Every indication I get is that they like Ryan McMahon, so he's not going anywhere. I think they like Rice at first base. So, and the DH. I mean, look, they've got Stanton for DH, and you've got Judge who's going to move in this. So I don't see the Yankees for Murakami. I really don't. Are there any other free agency rumors on the Phillies? Like I said, what I think it is it Schwarber and Real Muto first. I think they will look at Suarez. He's going to have a big market. So I think all the pitchers are out there, free agent pitchers. If you get a great pitcher without trading players, you're going to do well. I think it's not, I don't say not likely, but I would say that there's a decent chance that Suarez will go somewhere else because, let's face it, the Phillies, the Dodgers, and the Mariners are the teams that are best stocked with starting pitching. So I think their top two goals are certainly Schwarber, number one, and Real Muto, number two. And I think they would like Real Muto back. I don't want me to denigrate him by putting him at number two. I think they really would like him back to handle that staff. And I think they'll look at potential trades, and certainly we know Castellanos could be in there, and whether it be Bohm or Marsh, we shall see. But in terms of outfield, will they look to bring Bader back? I think that makes sense, right? He's an outfielder. Imai, Cubs' number one target, probably. I'm not sure if he's their number one target, but they're looking at pitching. There's no question the Cubs are in pitching. They could go back for Cease, who was there for a little while, not that long. They traded him across town to the White Sox. Maybe they like Cease. They could do that. Imai could make sense for the Cubs as well. When do you think the first big signing, and who do you think? It's hard. It was hard to predict the who goes first question unless you're in on the talks. So I'm not sure about who goes first. I think it'll be a more of a mid-range guy like a Mike Yastrzemski, somebody like that who could go earlier than some others. To me, Diaz fits the Mets. I'm sure they're going to look at all the other possibilities and see how that works out. But I believe he wants to go back. I know they want him back very badly. So, he signed at the GM meetings 3 years ago when we were in Las Vegas at a different hotel. And that is an early signing. Normally, the big signing, the first signing is about Thanksgiving. So that was particularly early. Shota, I think the question with him is he going to take that qualifying offer, $22 million? I think that's true of him. Grisham, which I think is probably not taking it. Gleyber Torres, that's kind of a question. And certainly Brandon Woodruff, who is pitched terrifically for the Brewers, and a small market team made him an offer, and that's a good sign for Woodruff. But $22 million is a lot of money, and he's a potential take for that as well. What's the Yankees' big move this year? Well, they basically said they want to bring Bellinger back. I think that's clear. All right, Dodgers going all in again? Question mark. Of course, the Dodgers are going all in. Number 3. No question about it. I think they're looking at Skubal. If he's available, that's a guy they're going to look at. I think they're going to look at Tucker. I wouldn't rule out Bellinger in a return. We've heard from The Athletic that they like Devin Williams. There are other relievers out there that they need to beef up that relief. Would they go for Edwin Diaz? I'm not ruling it out, but I haven't gotten that signal, that sign yet that they will spend another $100 million on a reliever. They spent $72 million on Tanner Scott. That was one signing that didn't work out. Their biggest signings have all worked out. They've done so many great things. Obviously they won 2 World Series in a row, 3 out of the last 6. This is a legit dynasty, and they are serious about winning. So I think they're going all in. Now, there are some off seasons where they're not as active as others, where they don't love the players, but I'm sure they love Skubal if they can get him. I I've heard I think they like Tucker, and he would fit, right? Because outfield was not their best thing. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a weakness. They have no weaknesses, but certainly in the outfield of Teoscar Hernandez was a very good hitter, but not a great outfielder. Pages and Kike Hernandez, who was really just an October player, it seems like. That gives them an opportunity to go sign somebody. They did sign Conforto. He was a little better at the end of the year. Obviously, did not have a very good year, and they're surely not going to bring him back. He'll go somewhere else. He's only 32. He will figure it out. Braves signed Bichette, question mark. I mean, they want a shortstop. I think Kim is the guy for them. I don't see them spending huge bucks on a shortstop. They're one of those big market teams that's not a big spender. I mean, they may argue and say they're not the biggest market, but we know they make a big profit. The Braves, to me, the Mariners, and the Cubs should be spending more money. Akamoto to the Yankees, maybe. I mean, I think the easiest road for them would be Bellinger and pitching more than Akamoto. I think that Rice could be the most of the time first baseman, and I think they're pretty happy with McMahon at third. So I don't know that they were going to replace McMahon. I know he didn't hit like they were hoping, but defense was amazing. So what are the Giants going to do? Look, the Giants could be in on a big bat, whether it be Alonso or somebody else. It's potentially true. I think Eldridge is maybe a little bit away. We'll see. And Alonso's willing to DH. So certainly that opens things up for him. When does Brian Cashman speak today? I think he speaks at 1:30. So I think 9 minutes. Hopefully I make some of it. I don't know, but this is my priority. All right, Skubal trade. We got 9 minutes to go. One executive said he thinks he's getting traded. I had a few say he thinks he's not getting traded. The vast majority say that they think Detroit will weigh it. They'll look at different teams. They will talk to many teams and figure it out. And more likely, if they're not in the race at the deadline, he could be dealt. They expect that they would stay with him until the deadline, at least, because look, they made the playoffs the last 2 years. This is a very good team. It's maybe not the Dodgers, but it's a good team. But of course, if they are blown away, and we will hear from Scott Harris or perhaps Greenberg, the assistant, and I think it's about 40 minutes. They're going to meet with the media, and maybe we'll hear a little bit more about Skubal. I'm not going to be shocked if they say that they need to be blown away, and not ruling anything out. I can't really guess exactly what someone's going to say, but I think that's the most likely, and that's what I heard from the other GMs and executives is that they think that they're going to consider it and weigh options and talk to teams, but don't think it's that likely that he actually gets moved. I think that's probably the way it's going to go, but we shall see. Maybe in 40 minutes they shut it down and say we're not trading him. I don't know. In terms of signing him, I'm not seeing it, right? That we've already been over this. They're like $250 million apart, at least as of the last offer. Have they made a new offer? Not that I've heard of, not yet. $250 million. I mean, what are they going to do? Move from 75 million, which was about the last offer for 4 years, up to 400 million? It's not happening. That one I can say that's not happening. They're not offering 400 million. So I think either they trade him or they keep him at least until the deadline. And that's probably the more likely scenario. Certainly the Dodgers will be in. Certainly the Mets will be in. Just about anybody will be in who needs pitching. I mean, I guess the Dodgers would be a team you would say maybe that doesn't need pitching. But look, they could easily trade a package with Sheehan or Glasnow or anybody else and make a move for Skubal. It's a 1-year player. They're not going to get the true value, but they will get a big package back offered because this is the best pitcher in baseball along with Skeens. And again, Skeens isn't getting traded. Is Skubal getting traded? Probably not. Can't rule that out yet. Cubs need to be in on Skubal. Yeah, I mean, look, they traded for Tucker with 1 year to go. Maybe they will trade for Skubal. The price is going to be a lot higher, though. Skubal is I would say inarguably because Skeens is pretty darn good, but I'll say he's inarguably the best pitcher in the American League at least. All right, Mets moves. All right, the Mets have got to do a lot of things, and they know it. Their payroll was $340 million. The team didn't reflect that. It was hard to believe that the Reds beat them out for a playoff spot. Very disappointing year. You could even say disastrous. I mean, it was good they brought back Alonso. That move worked. Soto was outstanding overall. Even stole 38 bases. I just realized that he led the league in steals, tied with O'Neill. Hard to believe, but those two big moves worked. But those smaller moves, 75 million for Manaya, 34 million for Montas, they didn't move. They didn't work. So, they're going to have to fix the pitching. They call it run prevention, hopefully on defense. But look, they're interested in Alonso, and I don't think there's any question about that. If they bring him back, they're just going to hope that the scoops, the scoops are excellent. They're going to hope that the throwing improves. That was the one issue with Alonso, but it's going to be difficult to let him go. Right, big right-handed power, 38 home runs, 126 RBIs. Their other best hitters are left-handed. How do you let Alonso go? And I think there's a better feeling today than there was a year ago when Alonso had that big home run, but didn't have as great a year, had the qualifying offer attached. It feels now that the Mets are going to have to really try hard for Alonso. Diaz, obviously they want him back. I think he wants to stay. I think they'll probably work it out. Am I guaranteeing it? No. Could the Dodgers swoop in and surprise me? Not ruling that out. Could the Yankees? Look, the Yankees need some relief pitching, right? They're losing Devin Williams. They're losing Luke Weaver. And let's face it, the relief pitching wasn't that great to begin with. Bellinger is a potential fit for the Mets, but as we said, he is the Yankee number one priority. And, obviously, Soto moved last year from the Yankees to the Mets. That was probably a surprise, but it was obviously a big move. Could it happen with Bellinger? Possibly, and I think he fits the Mets slightly better on the fact that he's left-handed. But the Yankees have made it clear that's their guy. They want to get it done, and that's it. And in terms of Senga, the Athletic reported that the Mets could trade him. I wouldn't be shocked on that. Obviously, it was a disappointing year last year. He did agree to go to the minors. I'd give him gold star for that. Nice for him. But I do think that they would listen on Senga. They're obviously not too thrilled with the way he pitched last year. Otherwise, you wouldn't send him to the minor leagues. Really was weird. I was leading the league in ERA when he got hurt, covering first base and stretching with an Alonso throw. Again, not blaming Alonso, but that's how he got injured. And it just went downhill from there. And the previous year he was hurt. So he's had two he had like a 1 quarter great, 3 quarters terrible year last year, and then an injury year the previous year. So that's an interesting one. But the Mets need to improve their pitching. They can call it run prevention, whatever. I could see McNeil getting traded. They just want Lindor and Nimmo to improve their defense from what they did last year. They weren't quite as good as they have been in the past. Now, Lindor has been, Gold Glove caliber in the past. Last year he was about average, and they just want to work on the defense and make it better. I don't see either one of them being traded. I do see potentially McNeil being traded, and now he probably does have a value, 17.5 million for 1 year. I think there are teams that would probably have interest. All right, teams to be aggressive. I think the AL East. I think it's the AL East. Not necessarily the Yankees as the most aggressive, and we've been over the Yankee potential moves. I think Toronto is going to go crazy. I really do. They tried for Ohtani. They tried for Soto. They were in high for Soto early before the Yankees and Mets passed them. They go for the big players. They go for many, many big players. They haven't always been successful, but they do make that effort. So to me, Toronto is the number one team I think will be aggressive. Look, the Red Sox, they've got to be aggressive, right? I mean, come on. You've got to be aggressive. How about Polar Bear to the Cubs? That possibility. I wouldn't rule it out because I mentioned Schwarber, right? Similar type thing, but he would be mostly a DH with the Cubs. Does he want to do that? I'm not sure. Any team interested in Alonso? I think there are a number of teams interested in Alonso. Look at the year he had, 38 home runs, 126 RBIs, no qualifying offer. He's willing to DH. I think there's going to be a very nice market for Alonso, much better than last year in the Mets. There is a better feeling about the Mets and Alonso this year. The Mets are going to be aggressive. I don't think there's any question about that. They had a very disappointing year, bordering on disastrous. I don't know if it's disastrous, but it was pretty bad. and they don't want to do that again. They paid $340 million. They lost a lot of money. I saw that report. We've been reporting that for years at the New York Post that Steve Cohen is losing a lot of money. He seems to be willing to lose a lot of money, though. That it doesn't bother him. He makes money with the other job, and he's okay with losing money. So I do think they're going to be aggressive. There's probably 7 or 8 guys on the trade market they're going to look at in terms of starting pitchers. There's probably that many or more on the free agent market that they're going to look at. So I think they would be interested in any and all at the right price or price point, as they say in the fancy. The other team I think might be aggressive is Baltimore, right? They came out and said they want to get a hitter. They have an owner, relatively new owner, who wants to win. They obviously had a disappointing year last year. I think this owner is really serious about winning, and I think the Orioles are my 4th team I'm going to mention as a team to be aggressive. All right, Phillies need to upgrade at third base and relief. They got Durant, so the relief is better. Third base, I think Bohm is pretty solid. I don't think that's the priority number 1, but I understand where you're coming from. I'm sorry I missed some chats. My time is up. Are the Yankees in on Imai? Not yet. He's getting posted November 19th, but I believe that they will be. That'll be my last answer. I'm sorry that I didn't get to all the chats. There were many, many chats today, and I really appreciate that. This is Jon Heyman signing off for Bleacher Report from Las Vegas, Nevada.